But first, it is a tough pill to swallow for so many on the left. You see that? 215 days. This is an inflection point for this country. This is a tipping point for this country. There is a very real possibility that Donald J. Trump can be your president-elect. Anything can happen in 215 days, but Trump is now consistently pulling ahead of Biden in almost every single battleground state. According to a brand new Wall Street Journal poll just out, well, Trump is leading in 6 out of 7 swing states, up by 5 in the important state of Arizona, 4 in Nevada, 3 in Michigan, 3 in Pennsylvania, 1 in Georgia. That needs to get larger, 6 in North Carolina, and in the 7th state, Wisconsin, Trump and Biden are tied. Let us be clear, very clear. These results are not unusual. In poll after poll, President Trump is beating Biden nationwide and beating him in what we believe will be the key swing states. But according to Dr. Jill Biden, well, the polls don't really exist. They are but a mere figment of your imagination. Take a look.
People know the choice this election. They can choose chaos or they can choose, steady wisdom, experience. So
there's not a part of you that's a little worried because
no,
you seem to be off kilter a little bit.
No, I feel that Joe will be reelected.
But when these polls, like the Wall Street Journal one, land in the White House and he's losing in all the battleground states.
No, he's not losing in all the battleground states. He's coming up and he's even or doing better. So you know what? Once people start to focus in and they see their two choices, it's obvious that Joe will win this election.
All right.
I was wondering, maybe you were wondering the same thing. Where was Joe Biden during that discussion? Now, according to RNC research, think about this. It has been a whopping 279 days since President Joe actually participated in a real live sit-down interview. In other words, Joe is back hiding in his basement with a few campaign visits and a lot of fundraisers sprinkled in here, there when they can. Now, it's not because he doesn't have the time, because Joe frequently spends entire days without anything on his public calendar. This lie the White House has been telling us, he gets more done in an hour than most Americans get done in a day. That's a lie. Anyway, it's pretty unheard of, that light schedule for any president, especially if you're running for re-election. Now, even when Joe does have a teleprompter and a friendly audience, it is, well, always a struggle. Here is but the latest example of your president. Take a look.
I'm proud. I'm proud of my administration has taken on Big Pharma in the most significant ways ever. And I wouldn't have done without Bernie, and Bernie got it, look. But the Republicans were able to cut back on the fact that they only were not able, the only thing they couldn't defeat was seniors. It cuts the deficit by $160 billion. Now, this spring is here. The seasons and allergies are upon us.
For the mumbling, bumbling, stumbling incoherence, I think I need an interpreter, because he's now attempting to navigate what has become an increasingly difficult political landscape. The numbers are very clear. They're very consistent. James Carville says they are horrific, horrendous. African Americans, Hispanic Americans, young people, all turning on Biden because of what? His border disaster, horrible economy and inflation, violent crime, people don't have law and order and safety and security. And at the same time, the president's very woke base, they are demanding even more illegal immigration, more spending, more defund, dismantle, reimagine the police, and no bail laws. Meanwhile, President Biden's support among Muslim voters, that is now bottomed out because of, quote, his assistance to Israel in its war against terrorism in Gaza. As a result, by the way, Joe Biden keeps literally abandoning our #1 ally, Israel, as they are in a real fight for their very survival. If you have friends like Joe, you don't need friends like that. But his critical voting bloc in states like Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, they are demanding that Joe capitulate to the radicals that run his party. In fact, during last night's Democratic primary in the Badger State, take a look at this. More than 40,000 uninstructed ballots were cast, in part, at least, to protest the fact that Biden kind of helped Israel a little, but he's really been stabbing them in the back the entire time. Now, that's more than enough votes to swing the general election in the tightly contested state of Wisconsin. And let's not forget, Biden is now also forced to contend with an independent challenge from the left as RFK Jr. looks poised to siphon off a considerable amount of that vote. By the way, we've done a full vetting of Robert Kennedy Jr. I actually like the guy. He's no conservative. We will go through that in detail. Now, of course, the president, his supporters will have plenty of money to spend, much of it from anonymous donors and super PACs. And remember, Biden once bashed, so-called dark money raised by political action committees. Quote, he said, "There's too much money that flows in the shadows to influence our elections, and it erodes public trust." Exactly what he's doing. Now, in case if you're wondering, Joe does not apply the same standard to himself. The super PAC that is bolstering his reelection, they have raised millions in dark money from anonymous donors. Now, Trump and the RNC, meanwhile, get this, and everyone had been writing them off as dead, gone, and buried. They raised a whopping $65 million in March. None of it was dark money. Now, clearly, as Biden is struggling in the polls, all of his holier-than-thou proclamations have gone by the wayside. Remember, he once promised unity, nowhere to be found. His goal to bring back, quote, decency to the White House, okay, that's his last, probably as laughable as, what, Hunter Biden's art career? And his pledge to empower an independent judiciary, that was a flat-out lie. Biden even reportedly demanded that his own DOJ investigate and prosecute his chief political rival, and they're doing it. The DOJ then dutifully is doing their job. In November, you have the opportunity to elect somebody that would be far more authentic, with a much better track record, who is clearly a fighter for this country, that will reestablish America's strength on the world stage, that understands the needs to control our borders, bring back law and order and safety and security, and, by the way, ran a much better economy than Joe Biden ever dreamed of. And that's going to be the difference in just 215 days. Now, by the way, or you can treat it like a retirement house like Joe does, the White House, in between trips to Delaware. All right. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.